Okay, my people, so I am pretty certain that, you are very much aware about the nonsense that Mastercard, Visa, and all these other weird payment processors and stuff like that has been doing, just straight up ass pulling and just straight up nonsensical moves against Japan and basically the freedom of expression of how you want to have things to kind of go. It's been just a jarring, very much ass pull of things that's just been happening that no one really likes. Let's just be absolutely honest. It has been by far the most annoying thing that we have seen, because it's like, oh yeah, it's cool to F with Japan, right? We're effing with Japan as a payment processor, but when it comes down to literally anybody else, or mainly people that, doesn't necessarily, step in our way in ways of, things that obviously is more on the Western side, we'll turn a blind eye. Unless you're basically Steam or some shit like that, or you have adult content, then that shit needs to go. But other than that, basically it's just kind of like a whatever sort of situation. It just genuinely is a whatever sort of situation, and they'll just ban whatever the hell they got in the works that is mainly and mostly from Japan or whatever, right? We actually have some pretty decent news, some actual good news, at least a start, but some good news nonetheless. I'm pretty certain if you watch any of Chibi Reviews videos, or even just follow the guy, I'm pretty sure y'all heard of this account that goes by Zenko, which I'm not necessarily fully sure. I gotta get reminded of who this person is. I think they're like a politician or whatever in Japan. But essentially, they came through with some breaking ass news talking about how there's gonna be a new payment processor that is going to get made, right? So let me actually read off the post. So it basically says, and again, this is Twitter translation, so it might not be the most accurate, but whatever. In 2024, DLSite which faced payment suspensions from Visa, Mastercard, and American Express, launched a new payment method called Mina no Ginko Kessai, everyone's bank payment, that does not rely on these card companies. It seems that overseas use is not yet supported, but increasing such options in the future and reducing dependencies on credit cards is important for preventing expression restriction, aka censorship, and that's just how it is. That's basically the whole dang post. I mean, there's like news down here that obviously is like, you can look on to for a link, I think, honestly. So, but yeah, basically, you get the dang point. And in the link, it just basically kind of goes over like, yeah, it's like a new payment processor. Here's some of the stuff that it does, how it kind of works and things like that. And, obviously the main purpose of it is because of how much 2D content has been screwed. Then yeah, it has a reason for it to kind of be existing. And it also just opened up today, or at least yesterday Japan's time. But when it comes down to it though, yes, this is exactly the type of shit we have been saying for a long time. If you're gonna keep screwing people over, there is only so much that people are going to take before we take matters into our own hands. I am 100% supportive of this, and this becomes worldwide, or this ends up like being another option for people to actually rely on, then hell yeah, let's actually go. And hopefully they'll do that sometime soon. Hopefully we'll actually get away where, people actually can pay for whatever the hell they want to pay for and actually do their job as a payment process and not necessarily overstep their boundaries like a white ass parent basically getting pissed off at some black kids because they hanging out with their white son. I don't know why I made it a race issue, but I just did. But you get the dang point though. It is very much good to see that there is actually new grounds of competition to be here, right? And really, this ain't even about competition. This is about a new needs to basically satisfy these type of means, right? That's just basically what this is. We basically needed something like this because we had no other option. There was no other choice. The people at Visa and MasterCard are ass. They're not gonna change shit. And why would they? They're doing fine. They're still making their money. Even when people are calling them out and calling them on their card, or at least their phone number cards or whatever, where, you know, the call centers or whatever, even with calling them, and even though the people are mad annoyed when that shit was going on, I'm not gonna sit here and lie, it was not gonna bother the high ass executives at the top of the branch. They'll still lie, they'll still talk shit, they'll still call you a cracker behind your back. That is how these payment processors basically are. And so the fact that Japan is now finally like, oh yeah, we're actually gonna do some shit now because we're tired of getting screwed over, hopefully this will take off a bit more, and hopefully people will actually come through and just say, yeah, F you to those payment processors, holding up a giant middle finger, or, you know, whatever the hell Japan does that's a crazy ass thing that they could basically say to clap back at these people, and just straight up just, you know, make this a thing that people can use, right? Make this a thing that people can use that doesn't get hoed by literally everybody. And granted, another thing too, this was going to happen sooner or later, just because people were also talking about how Steam could do it too, how they can basically make a payment processor as well, and to be honest, I would rather Japan kind of do it and make this global more than, you know, a Western company to do it. Even someone like Steam, like granted, Steam's great at times, right? But even Steam has its own issues. So I would rather you have a country that kind of does something, you know, outside the Western sphere, and let that kind of be a payment processor that people can use without necessarily any sort of weird things to kind of go about, right? It will always be an issue. There will always be people trying to challenge it in the Western world, you know, because they want you to use Western shit more than anything else, because that's a weird ass obsession. Like, one side is not better than another side, sir. I'm just gonna be honest. Both sides have their needs and both sides have their pros and cons, let's just be honest. But when it comes down to it though, at least it gives people an option to maybe try to see that, you know, we can actually get our 2D fictional content in whatever possible way, you know, normally that we should, right? Without relying on the big ass, like, massive ass companies that runs these credit cards all the damn time, right? Again, is this something that's gonna be, you know, absolutely destroying Visa and MasterCard? I don't think so, because the world is too hooked on MasterCard and Visa to the point I don't see them losing. But this will definitely give people like an extra option for them to kind of just, you know, say F using those cards for like very specific anime stuff or things that they try to ban or whatever, and we can actually use this for other things. And that's going to be great, because again, you know, competition is always going to have somebody to come through, and if somebody's not necessarily satisfying a certain needs, then obviously somebody's going to come through and make their own shit, which is very good to see. My hope, if it's not necessarily too late, is that personally a lot of these sites that has been affected by, you know, Visa and MasterCard in Japan, I hope that they find a way to, like, I don't know, get something back, like try to stay open with their sites or whatever, right? Or bring those sites back in some shape and form by using this new payment process. It might not, again, be perfect, it might not be, you know, the ultimate best payment process to use, but hopefully it will do something to make people, you know, actually, you know, have their shit out there, actually be able to survive for 5 seconds and not necessarily look like a dumbass like Vegeta did with Cell, let him get his perfect form or some shit and no one does a thing. And that's just how it is, right? Hopefully this will actually be a new start for people to actually showcase that, yeah, you can fight back. It can be hard, it can be tough, but you can definitely fight back. And by the best way of fighting back that we can do in the West right now is basically kind of just talk about this new payment processor, right? Talk about this new site that's going to actually help out a lot more than what Visa and MasterCard can do. Actually spread the word that this thing is a thing that's happening in Japan, and express interest for it to basically go across the overseas market. Let it actually be in the overseas market, and, you know, let it be cooking the way it needs to cook. Also, and I'm gonna be absolutely honest with you, and hopefully the, you know, DLSite don't necessarily do this, but do not let it go. I don't know if these companies are actually like credit card companies are like private companies or public companies or whatever. But if it can't be private, keep it private, and also at the very same time, do not let no bum ass Western person come through to your company talk about how good we are, we can make this company better, and then end up making it just as shitty as every other damn credit card payment processor like it already is. Keep it Japan, keep it in Japan, keep it Japan based, but also at the same time, when the time comes, let it be actually overseas use. Let it be something that you can get overseas, and let it be something that can just straight up be the actual term of what your name of the the card is, banking for everyone, or everyone's bank, or whatever the heck it's called. Let that actually be a real deal thing, because again, no one here wants to basically see, the freedom of expression getting limited because of hoe-ass payment processors and a lot of these weird-ass complainers and whiners and all that sort of stuff. No one wants that. At the end of the day, we just want payment processors to leave us the hell alone, and if they can't do that, we'll just find a different way to doing that, and hopefully they don't get hoed in any shape and form, right? That's really the most I could ask for. Also, before I go, I think I need to mention this because this is pretty dang big as well, and I'm not necessarily fully sure if they already are, or they, are on the way of becoming it. But Japan has a new prime minister, which is a woman, but not. I don't think that's really a big part of the discussion that really matters that much. I believe the name is Sanae. I don't know why I'm having dyslexia right now, but the last name is Takeichi. Essentially, Miss Takeichi has become the new Japan Prime Minister, and essentially what ends up happening is that, or at least from what I've seen of people talking about it, is that basically this is a person that's not gonna take any type of shit. Basically, they're very much kinda in the more right sort of place, like far right sort of place of like, politics or whatever, and essentially it's gonna be a crackdown on a lot of stuff that has been going on in Japan, and seemingly this is gonna be a decent time, right? Granted, we said that America, about America, and look how that's going, but still, nonetheless, I'm not gonna get into that. But still, nonetheless, it's seeming like they're gonna crack down on some shit and actually not gonna be taking no bullshit from anybody. And hey, if this also helps out with, bum ass payment processors, taking them down and actually keeping Japan the way it should be, instead of a lot of this weird shit that's just been going on, and actually making a difference, I'm all here for it. Granted, this is politics again, so, politics is about as trustworthy as basically, the devil is telling you the actual truth. It's not really trustworthy at all a lot of the time, but when it comes down to it though, we just can only hope and pray that maybe things could get better. Again, politics is very much a weird game. It's not something I am in the wheelhouse of discussing too hard for, but it's just something that we should keep in mind of. Again, Japan is very much changing in very many different ways, and it's gonna be a weird ride, but we'll see how it kind of goes. But yeah, that's essentially what I wanted to, mention when it comes down to it. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi Cash App is available as well. And until then, this is your boy Jay, sign off. Have a blessed day.